Hi, it's the old Duffer. Update on said RL. We've been painting badly. These are aluminium wings we made. The original wings were just flat plates that came down, attached to the original body, and then all the muck from the wheel sprayed up underneath and did its damage. And I didn't want to go back to that because we've sourced another body for it because this one was just rotten. So I made these. Hopefully that'll improve the body life. But obviously we've got steel bracket, aluminium, and that's never a good idea if you've ever seen Land Rover doors, just electrolysis. So I've made a gasket between the two, 3mm thick gasket that I've soaked, smothered in axle grease. I've done the same on the body. Some people use, on the chassis should I say, some people use silicone sealer between the two to stop the moisture getting between and then rusting the chassis out. I've gone a more traditional method and used grease. The bolts are all stainless steel, the nuts are all stainless steel. When you use stainless steel nuts and bolts, sometimes the threads will bind up to the point you will never get it apart ever again. I've put this together with grease. These are serrated shoulder-headed nuts and bolts, so they bite in and effectively a lock nut. Hopefully that will be all right. They all went on without any fuss. So we'll have to see how this works out. Of course, the body sits over here. You don't really see any of this. And I know some of you are going to say, wow, that's orange. Can't find the original colour for this. We know the original colour of the truck was gloss bronze green. Why would you paint an army truck that you would think would need to be stealth gloss? But it was, because where we took the door, so the window rubbers out and the door rubbers off, the original paint is obviously under that from when it was manufactured. So it's definitely gloss bronze green for the rest of it. And the only other bits are orange are the front wings, the door skirt, and the wing below that. I think that denotes it's a bomb squad truck. If you Google bomb squad vehicles going way back to the war, they all had either red or reddy orange wings. And this probably looks a different colour to what I see it as, because obviously all our monitors and phones and that show colours slightly different, not all calibrated the same. So this may look very much more orange than it really is. But if you Google Bomb Squad RL, there's only a handful of pictures come up. The body that goes on here is enormous compared to the height of the cab. We can't actually get this in here with the body on, even if we made the doors 4 foot taller, because we put the doors in the hole in the building and we had a doorway, we had to make the galvanised doors. We still have to let the tyres down to get it in. It is enormous, and we've managed to get one of the correct proportions, more modern body, which will be painted up in the correct colours with, I think it says Royal Engineers Bomb Disposal on the sides and on the front bulkhead, and it has blue flashing lights. If anybody out there has got the glass dome blue flashing lights that were like used, I think they was used on the Green Goddess, the auxiliary fire service trucks, that you have a pair, or know we can get a pair. Would like to purchase some if I can at a sensible price. I can't find any, let alone purchase some. So we might have to go with something a little bit more modern for now, just so it looks correct-ish. It's about as good as we're going to get, and hopefully something will come along in the future. But if you do know someone, send them my way. I would really like to talk to them about it. Also, some bits going on the other side that I needed to get this bit done before I could carry on the other side. So I'll move the camera around and I can show you what we're doing on the other side of the truck, because this side of the truck's got a toolbox, fuel tank, jerry can holder, and obviously the air brake system we've now fitted up. So she's a bit lopsided. Not lots lopsided. We've only got the spare wheel to go on the other side and the battery's on there. But there's another bit of kit to go on the other side. So I'll move the camera around so that you can see what's going on. Just a quick bit on the paint. We never used this paint before. We're painting the whole vehicle with it. It was recommended to me by a friend. You can roller it, brush it, spray it, and I tried an airless sprayer, so we were messing about when we were painting these. So the paint finish isn't brilliant. I'm not that bothered. It's painted, that'll do for now. I can always take them off and redo it at some point in the future if I so wish. But obviously the rest of it, which is enormous, I want to try and get my head round how we paint it, so I don't make too much of a pig's ear of it. And we're going to roller the body because it is just so big. I mean, I've sprayed vehicles, but I'm not spraying it. It's just too big, and we've got to do it outside because it's saying it won't come in here. And I'm going to want some volunteers for that too, because that's a hell of a thing to paint before we get a sign written. And we found a sign writer who can do it in the correct font so it looks period correct. So that's enough on the paint. But right, this is a generator. This is a single phase and 3 phase. It's 12 kVA 3 phase, 6 kVA single phase generator. It's petrol. Obviously, being the truck has a 5 litre petrol engine in, we have a petrol tank over there with a second outlet, so I can rig up a fuel pump. This has a vacuum operated little crankcase pressure fuel pump, but it'll take a lot of cranking to drag the fuel up from the tank over there. So I'll put a little clicky clacky on there to sort that out. Now I've made these, hopefully it'll come up in big L brackets which bolt to the chassis. Bolt there and under there. They will be joined together with an arm going across and up and attaching to the other side of the chassis, much like the original spare wheel bracket is, so that these aren't trying to twist the chassis down. And this frame will be bolted to the upright and obviously sort of bottom half of the L of the bracket, sort of triangulate it effectively, so it hopefully won't try and do that. It shouldn't. I have done this before and I've not had any problems. We're also going to sound deaden this. We're going to build an enclosure for it with plenty of ventilation, because these suck cold air in from the ends and then blow it out over the exhaust, and the alternator end blows it out the side. So we need lots of exhaust, you know, area to get rid of all the hot, not only the exhaust gases, but obviously the warm air from the generator and the engine. But I will also extend the exhaust away so it comes up. I've never understood when people install generators in enclosures, especially if it's a DIY job, and I have done this a few times and with great success. They always put the exhaust below the cold air intake. Hot gases and hot air rises. So you quite often get generators come in here that are burnt out because it sucked in the exhaust gases straight through the alternator and barbecued it. You know, I mean, a lot of these Chinese generators now have the exhaust very close, the exhaust outlet, should I say, very close to the generator cool air suck input. And then if you put it in a box, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. But anyway, I digress. That's where we are so far. I needed to get the wings on and done so we can sort the generator on. I want to do this, run the fuel lines, a battery cable, because we can use the starter battery because there's 12-volt electric start. So we can use the truck starter battery to start this with a battery isolator, so we don't have to have it connected all the time, only when we need it. And I know a lot of you are thinking, why is he putting a 3-phase stroke single phase? And this is not tapped off of the neutral and one of the 3-phase windings. This has a separate single phase winding, and it is a 3-phase, a stroke proper single phase generator. Why am I putting that on this truck? I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to wait and see, won't you? No, we're not converting it to van life and living in it, not a chance. I don't want to be living in there and listening to this thing, even with it sound deadened. You're going to feel it up through the chassis. That's not what we're doing with it, but you'll have to wait and see. And hopefully you'll be quite impressed with what we're going to do with it. But that's for the future. This is just a quick update, because obviously we don't get a lot of time on this whole thing. We have to earn a living before we can play with our toys. And just a quick sort of update on these old vehicles. Some people don't seem to understand. This is pre-1960, it's 1955. As long as you're not using it for hire and or reward, nobody's going to be using a 5-litre petrol, anything for earning any money, not an ice cream chance in hell. It doesn't need to be MOT'd, and you don't pay road tax. And we won't be, this is purely a toy, this is for our pleasure, and we will be using it to get to shows with the stuff that goes in the back of it. And also to, people have asked us to bring it along, as how many RLs do you see on a public road these days, or even at a show? Very, very few now. But they must be roadworthy. So, you know, you can't run bald tyres and tyres out of date and all that kind of nonsense, and exhaust hanging off and lights not working. They must be roadworthy. That's the only caveat. Well, you'd be a fool not to have it roadworthy. And that was the reason we put air over oil brakes on this, opposed to the old vacuum system, like a car, servo brakes it had. You know, when people die in front of you these days, I need to be able to stop this thing. Or certainly slow the wheels down. Whether it'll actually stop the whole lot, I don't know. And obviously power steering, so we're not going down the road like driving a go-kart, so to speak. So bring it into the 21st century, but the rest of it is completely original. But anyway, enough of my nonsensical waffling. Bit of an update on the old girl. Hopefully we'll be doing a few more videos. We are going to paint the rest of the orange bits orange next. And then it's a cab off, do the cab, get the cab back on, and then we start building the cab back up. And then unfortunately it's going to have to go outside. We've got to paint the bulkhead, the front bulkhead of the body, and come around the corners, and then we can put the body on and get it bolted down, and then paint the rest of the body. But the whole body's got to be painted outside because it's just too big. I don't even think it would come in here if it was on rollers. I think it's just too tall. And if you look it up, look up Bedford RL bomb squad and see the nature of the bodies that were put on them, and you'll be amazed at the size of it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.